Tuesday Tips Live. Tips Live. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Tuesday Tips Live. My name is Joey Santos. I'm the managing editor for Digital DJ Tips. And if you've been following this Tuesday Tips live stream for a while now, you're probably wondering, hey, where's Phil at? Well, he is on holiday. The boss has to take a holiday, of course, and he asked me to fill in for him today. So you guys are stuck with me for like the next 30 minutes, and we're going to be talking about something that is a hot topic in digital DJing right now. It's the S word. And I'm not talking about sync. I'm talking about the other S word, streaming. That's right. We're going to be talking about music streaming. I'm going to tell you why you need to start thinking about it. You need to start taking it seriously. It's something that is going to affect digital DJing as we know it. And then we're going to go through all of those topics and points later on in this live stream. Now, before we get to that, I just want to say hi to everybody who is watching us over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/digital DJ tips. What is up, everybody? So nice of you guys to join us this week. I see a lot of regulars in here. Want to say hi to all of you, as well as all of our members over at the Global DJ Network. It's the largest and most awesomest group for digital DJs over on Facebook. If you are not a part of it yet, why aren't you? To join, just go to facebook.com/digital DJ tips, click send message, type the word join, hit enter, and you will receive instructions on how to do just that. So, before we get started, I want to go to the comments and say hi to everybody who is in here. Let's take a look. Hi to Philip. Hi to Neil. Bugs saying hell yeah. What's up, Bugs? Colin's in here as well. Derek Rudolph saying good morning. What's up, man? James DeLambert saying hello. Timothy Callahan saying hey, Joey. What's up, my man? Ben is in here as well. Dominic Lassell. Hi, Joey. What's up, guys? Philip Ballesteri saying raise the microphone. All right, let me do that right now. Give me 2 seconds. All right. So, is this louder for you guys? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Saying hello to Maximus Clean. Greetings from California. What's up? Chris Grigor. Filling in. Yes, I'm filling in for Phil. And just want to say, lots of people excited for like the Apple event later on. They're going to be announcing like a new iPhone probably, as well as like a new smartwatch and other stuff. I don't know how that's going to affect DJing, but man, I use like my iPad for DJing a lot these days. I'm going to be talking about that later on and why it's actually pretty important to my DJing setup. And want to say hi to Delmar, Frank Pino, Nigel Harwood. What's up, Nigel? Nice of you to join. Peter Ratcase saying, yeah, hello again. Cool. Herman Kosh is asking, is that also available as text? I love your text, but your videos are filled with fluff. All right. Well, these live streams, they're like, again, like a half-hour episode of us talking about stuff with digital DJing, right? It's a live show. After this, we do upload something on our Instagram. Basically, it's like a Cliff Notes version of what we talk about over here on the stream. But the cool thing about this is that we can interact with each other. I'm always here on the comments. My team is here in the comments. They're answering your questions live. If you got questions about streaming, anything about digital DJing, you can ask them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them throughout the call. So yeah, it's basically that interaction that you don't get when it's just something that's posted over on our Instagram or like on our website, for example. Major D Music saying hello, greetings from Australia. And zoning out on music. Title Team DJs in the building. What's up, everybody? All right, let's get to it. So let's talk about streaming. Why is it important? Why should we be thinking about it as soon as now? You're probably wondering, yeah, like I listen to music on Spotify almost daily. Probably subscribe to a different music service as well, maybe like Apple Music. You're probably on SoundCloud. What does that have to do with DJing? Apart from music discovery, of course. Well, let me just go through some of the bits of news that kind of gave rise to this entire subject for our Tuesday Tips Live. So let's take a look over here on our screen. Today, Denon DJ basically announced that Tidal is available on the Prime 4. If you don't know what the Prime 4 is, it's the standalone all-in-one system. You don't need a laptop for this one. And basically, the new firmware update that Denon released allows you to connect to the internet via Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and then it lets you connect to Tidal. So that means that you can stream music from the Tidal service straight on your Prime 4 device. Now, why is this cool? Well, it's awesome because, yeah, again, you can practice this at home if you want to. You can drop, if you think of like a track that you want to play, you don't need to download it anymore. You can just look for it on Tidal, put it on one of the decks here on the Prime 4, and it's all good, right? Actually, Phil was telling me about this yesterday. We had a meeting, and he was like, you know what? I took the Prime 4 from the Digital DJ Tip Studio, brought it to my house. It's in our living room area. And it's just set up there so I can DJ whenever I want. And he was like, I went to a festival this past weekend in Gibraltar, and there was like this DJ who mixed Bohemian Rhapsody into like a house beat. Like the last few notes of like Bohemian Rhapsody into like a house beat. And Phil was like, hey, that sounded awesome. Let me see if I can do that. So what he did was, after the festival, he goes home, fires up the Prime 4, logs into Tidal, does the same mix, just drops in like Bohemian Rhapsody and that, another like an EDM song or a house song, and he was able to try the mix. So practice-wise, you're able to do it without even having to own the music. So it's a lot simpler. Not everyone owns Bohemian Rhapsody. I own it. I'm sure like a lot of you guys do as well, especially if you're a mobile DJ. But for those who are more, if you specialize in like a certain genre of music, that also means that your collection is more or less niche down into the styles that you play. So having access to like a streaming service, even if it's something like Tidal, which doesn't have a collection as large as Spotify, of course, it does give you access to all of those different songs, all of those different music genres, and that kind of allows you to expand and experiment with your DJing as well as your musical styles and tastes, right? So apart from the Prime 4 having Wi-Fi and being able to access Tidal, Denon DJ also says that this same integration with Tidal is coming to the SC5000 Prime and SC5000M Prime players. What does that mean? That means that streaming is finally coming to professional club DJ gear. That's right. Streaming isn't just something that you're going to use on your iPad or your laptop with like a controller, or even on a standalone system like the Prime 4. Later on, you're going to be able to use it in a club's DJ booth. And that is a potential game changer because it's going to open up so many different options for you as a DJ. Now, while we're talking about this, I think from what I read online about people hating on music streaming for DJs, a lot of it has to do with the idea that if streaming does become the norm, what happens to the music that I own? Or what happens to like the records that I have, or like the CDs that I have, or the collection that I've built over time. Here's the thing that I think kind of gets lost in the marketing mix sometimes when people talk about streaming. Whenever you have like the ability to stream music inside your DJ software, it doesn't mean that you're gonna go full on streaming the entire set. You don't even have to do that. You can even just play one song. Maybe somebody comes up, asks for a request. Let's say you're a mobile DJ or you're a wedding DJ. Somebody asks for a tune that you don't have. Then you can go online and drop the song, right? Instead of having to go to like the iTunes store and buying it. Or even if you're like a club DJ, let's say you want to experiment with like a song and you don't have it in your collection. You don't have it like in your thumb drive or something. If you're DJing on like an SC5000 Prime, as Dan on DJ says, it's going to allow that feature in the future. You'll be able to grab a song in an instant, as long as, of course, you've got a Wi-Fi connection or you're tethered to your phone. And now that's like a technological thing, and a lot of people are also saying that, yeah, but what if the internet is bad, or like I don't have cell signal, like whatever I'm DJing. I think that's like a technological kink that will get ironed out later on at some point, especially when 5G comes around. We'll talk about 5G later on. But yeah, just having streaming as an option, it doesn't mean that you're gonna stream like your entire set from the cloud. Just like a handful of songs, even just one song, having that ability is so important. I'll also talk about why I just love that idea later on in this live stream. Now, the other piece of news, which just dropped like a few hours ago actually, is that Pioneer DJ just released the latest update to Rekordbox DJ. It's finally out of beta, and now you can sign up for Beatport Link. Beatport Link is the music streaming service of Beatport. And basically, what you can do is that you can connect Rekordbox DJ over onto your Beatport Link account, and you can stream from over 6 million songs in the entire Beatport catalog. That is a lot of dance music, folks. And we were able to try this out during like the beta phase, and I gigged with it. Yes, it wasn't like a really packed club gig. It was like a smaller, more intimate gig, but it was like a public performance nonetheless. And I thought that it worked great. Sure, there were a couple of bugs. Sure, there are some things that could still be improved, especially when it comes to the playlisting aspect. But the best thing about it was that it just worked. Granted, I wasn't streaming while I was at the gig itself. What I did was I saved the songs in what's called an offline locker. If you subscribe to the higher tiers of Beatport Link, you're able to get access to something called an offline locker, and you can store 50 songs if it's like the Beatport Link Pro plan. Or if you get the most expensive plan, the Beatport Link Pro Plus, that's a mouthful, Beatport Link Pro Plus plan, you're able to store 100 songs in that offline locker. And that's awesome because, again, you're basically removing the issue of having to have an active internet connection while you're DJing. And dude, I was playing like 15, 20 songs from that offline locker, and it was just like as if I had it on my laptop, as if it were part of my Rekordbox DJ collection. And to me, that's like, it kind of opened my mind to what's possible with this kind of technology. And, a lot of people usually like, if they're coming into DJing for the very first time, the first thing they ask is, okay, cool, so I have a DJ controller, I have the DJ software. Can I play the songs that I have on Spotify because I've got my playlists? And, that's always like a point of contention for them, especially if they're like super, super new. I was teaching my younger cousin how to DJ just the other month, and the first thing he asked me was, can't I play my songs on Spotify? I've got playlists there. Why can't I access them from within the software? So, having this ability to be able to create playlists in the streaming service of your choice, and then being able to access those playlists and those songs within the DJ software, it just makes everything so much more convenient. And what we're seeing right now, folks, this is just the start of a wave of a new technology that will really change the way that we DJ. And it's not gonna be like, at least at the beginning, it's not going to be such a drastic shift. It's not drastic in the way that DJs move from, say, vinyl to CDJs. That also took a while, but that was a big shift because suddenly now you're working with a digital medium. And another big change was using, say, CDJs and then jumping to a computer with DJ software and digital vinyl system emulation. That's another big change. Those are drastic changes that happened over a period of time. Now, I think music streaming and DJ software, it won't be as drastic as that. And I think it will take a bit of time for it to become, I would say, mainstream. But as early as now, I think a lot of early adopters can see that there is something to this technology. And that's also one of the reasons why, these big companies like Beatport or Pioneer DJ or Danon DJ, they're investing money in streaming because they know that streaming is something that will create new opportunities for future DJs, even us DJs right now, if we choose to go in that direction. An analogy that I think fits this would be imagine like when the first motor vehicle came around like in the early 20th century, the turn of the 20th century, Henry Ford, cars, right? Coming from horses to cars, yeah, big change. And then that's been around for like over a century now. Cars have been around for over a century. And then suddenly you had electric cars. And electric cars, you're just starting to see them out in the streets, like in the last, I don't know, 5 or 7 years. You've got like, your Teslas, you've got your Prius, you've got your hybrid cars. But it's still a car, and it's not like a super drastic paradigm shift. I don't think streaming and DJ software will be like that, but it will improve the way that we DJ by virtue of the fact that we suddenly have access to all of this music that we didn't have before, and having that kind of access and having, I guess, a broader look at what's available as opposed to whatever we currently have. Given the nature of buying a song per piece or buying records per piece, having streaming there, having the world's music at your fingertips, that's going to change the way that DJs approach DJing as well. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 5 years. Probably won't even happen in the next 10 years, but it will happen later on. And, I guess that's what's so exciting about DJing in itself. There's always something new around the corner. It's never a dull day. Believe me. That's what we do in Digital DJ Tips. We always just like talk about all the latest techs and trends in digital DJing. And it's just, well, awesome. Michael Spicer here with a comment. Yeah, so I was talking about how we sort of transitioned from using horses and buggies over into cars, and Michael says didn't work out well for the horses. That's how it is with technology. Like after a while, if you don't adapt to what is the current meta in terms of the current state of technology, there is a chance to be left behind. But of course, people still ride horses. There are still, polo players and, for ceremony and stuff. So yeah, technology, I think it just brings new stuff to the plate. And it's up to us whether we want to partake of that, right? Okay, cool. So next up, let's go to our next slide here. Now, talking about streaming, last year, I was able to perform at this beach festival. I was just spending like a weekend with my girlfriend and her family. And then we went to this beach in the Philippines. It's called La Union. And then, I didn't plan on doing any DJing, but I had my iPad with me, and they're like, dude, when people saw me, they're like, dude, you're here. You may as well play like a DJ set. I mean, it's the weekend. We got a lot of people coming from the city. They'd love to see you play, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, well, I don't have any gear. I do have an iPad. Is that fine? And they're like, yeah, dude, just do whatever you want. Just go ahead and play. And what I did was, during that entire set, I was playing music that was stored on my iPad. And at the same time, I was also streaming music from Spotify. And, it wasn't perfect, of course, but it really gave me a glimpse of what was possible with this kind of technology. And that was like the first time that I really experienced it for myself. And to be honest, it kind of made me think about what the future of DJing would be like. I mean, of course, you would still need to know all the fundamentals, how to beat match, how to mix, how to use EQs, how to use effects tastefully and all that. Also playlisting, but at the same time, we're going to be using like such different pieces of gear, such different pieces of technology. At the end of the day, it's still going to be DJing, but it will be formless, it will be formatless. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I think when it comes to streaming, it's wrong to assume that you're going to be streaming your entire DJ set from the cloud. It's not like that. You will be playing local music that you have on your hard drive. You'll be playing vinyl if you want to play like a hybrid analog and digital set. You'll only be accessing stuff online from time to time. So yeah, again, it's not binary. It's not black and white. It's not like a zero sum game. Basically, streaming is just this other option that you have, and again, so much music over in that option. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at the comments over here. Lots of you chiming in over on our Facebook live chat as well as on YouTube. So let's see. GK the DJ. I use streaming for weddings. There's always a guest that asks for a song that I will never play again and that I won't buy, so I use it for that. Dude, I am totally the same. Because if I don't use streaming, what tends to happen is they're going to ask me to download the song, and that means I have to pony up for the track, $1 a song, or they're going to come to the booth and they're going to be like, can I plug my phone in like your mixer, and can you just play this track, and then can you play like the next 5 tracks in this playlist for me? And I'm like, let me just try to get the song for you. So yeah, streaming is great for that. I totally agree with you, GK the DJ. 350s guy, I tell you one thing, technology is brilliant. I have bought Phase for my DVS, and oh my god, brilliant. I'm glad that you're having a positive experience with Phase. Lots of DJs are liking it, but also lots of them are having some issues with it. Hopefully those get resolved in the near future. It's awesome. Sound Insurgent, if this was real news, you would have done this when Virtual DJ started it years ago. But anyways, that is all your opinion, and I respect that. All right, dude. Okay, let's be fair here. Virtual DJ came up with streaming. They're usually like the first kid on the block when it comes to these advancements in digital DJing software. That's why I love virtual DJing. They always have an ear to the ground. They've got an eye to the future. They know where it's headed, right? I remember like when Virtual DJ announced that they had this content unlimited streaming service, and it was awesome because like you had content unlimited music, content unlimited video if you wanted to do some VJing, and they also had content unlimited karaoke. And I was able to use that karaoke streaming service like a few years back. Like I was DJing like this Christmas party for like a big corporation, big medical corporation, and they're like, yeah, we want to sing now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have any karaoke. So it's a great thing. Like I could access that in Virtual DJ. So yes, you're right. Virtual DJ was the first to have that, or if not the first, one of the first. And at the time, I think it was a beautiful proof of concept of what was possible with streaming. And only now, like you see the more of the other big 3 or big 4 DJ applications jumping on board, making it a more robust and bulletproof part of their system. Of course, Serato DJ has had it for a while now with Tidal. They had it last year. And they had it even a few years prior, thanks to Pulse Locker, which is now closed. And incidentally, Pulse Locker is what it's basically the foundation of Beatport Link, and that's why you're seeing that streaming service over at Beatport. That technology is over in there, and yeah, but you're right. Virtual DJ is one of the first. Peter Ratcase says Beatport prices are insane for high quality streaming, dude. Yeah, I get a lot of comments talking about that, and I kind of agree with you. I think it's like $59.99 or $59.95 for like a 1-month subscription for the 100-song offline locker with high quality streaming. $60 that's a big chunk of money, because that means that you can buy a lot of music already. Even though you buy it at Beatport, it's a little bit more expensive on Beatport when you buy them. If you want to get WAV or FLAC files, they're a little over $2. But yeah, that is pretty expensive. But I really do think that at some point those prices could come down, or maybe like a more inexpensive plan would come out if enough people show interest. It's kind of like Moore's law when it comes to computer stuff and technology. Memory gets cheaper every year. Processing power doubles. or not even doubles, it increases in powers instead of just doubling. So it's the same thing with the streaming technology. At some point, that price has to go down, or there's going to be like a lower barrier to entry. I don't know if it's going to come from Beatport Link, or it's going to come from like a different streaming service provider. Who knows? But yeah, I hear you, dude. It is kind of pricey. Uh, Ernest Mazik, the responsibility for licensing falls on the venue here in the US, just like for song downloads you buy online. Yeah, so you're talking about playing music from streaming services and public. And that was one of the aces up the sleeves of Pulse Locker. Pulse Locker had the license for you to perform in a live setting with the music that you streamed from it. And at the moment, Beatport Link states in its terms and conditions that you aren't allowed to play this publicly. Well, that's what it says in the terms and conditions. But I'm pretty sure like DJs who sign up for this will go ahead and do so anyway. I don't know if that's going to change in the near future. I hope it does. It's the same thing with Spotify integration in DJ Pro or DJ for iOS, because you aren't allowed to, according to the terms and conditions, you can't perform in a public setting using music from Spotify. But I'm pretty sure that people who do use the app have already done so. And licensing regulations differ from country to country, so your mileage may vary. Kevin Slack says, for the price that Beatport Link is it's actually cheaper to buy the tracks you want. I agree with you there, dude. Here's an interesting one here. Peter Ratke, if you could only pay for something like Dropbox and have your library online, it would be nice. Just log in with an account. I really think that at some point it will get to that, we'll be able to, since you've got basically internet connection already and something like the Prime 4, and they're going to bring it to like the SC5000 Prime, SC5000M Prime and all that. Who knows? Maybe at some point, Pioneer DJ will also come up with a media player that does have like this internet connectivity, Wi-Fi, Ethernet. I mean, like, why wouldn't Pioneer do it? They do have to catch up to this. This is the next big thing. This is the next technological leap, and I'm willing to bet they're already thinking of something. They're thinking of an answer to Denon DJ's assault on music streaming in the DJ booth. But yeah, if you do have the Wi-Fi already, if you have the ability to connect to the internet on your media player or like your standalone system, then why can't you log into like exactly as you mentioned, like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or some other cloud locker? That would be awesome. Maybe you can do it like you could probably do it with your laptop if you wanted to. I mean, it is a laptop already. What else in here? One last comment. Mac Joe says streaming is it's a great option to help you get more music in seconds. That's awesome. Let's not go backwards in this culture. All right, perfect. Cool. Okay, so let's get back to what we're discussing over here, and then we're gonna take a look at more comments before we end the live stream. So we're talking about why DJs need to take streaming seriously. They need to take it seriously, or you need to take it seriously, because it's coming. Actually, it's already here, and it has the potential to change the way that DJs play in the future. Maybe not in the next 3 months, not in the next 6 months, but in the future, almost certainly. We can't predict what's going to happen, but I'm willing to bet it will change the way that DJs DJ. So how does streaming affect DJing right now? I was thinking of a list before doing this stream, and the number one thing that has really helped my DJing when it comes to music streaming is it just makes it super easy to come up with a playlist. This past weekend, I played like there was this anniversary at Club Anniversary, and I was playing to like a younger crowd. I'd say like 21 to 25-year-olds. So the music is kind of different compared to what I normally play at my gigs. And whenever I'm faced with a situation like that, what I do is I do a lot of research leading up to the show. And by research, I mean I go online, I visit my record pools, but most importantly, I go on Spotify and I check out what's hot. And this is super important because, I'd love to listen to music 24/7, but I just can't. And just going on Spotify, taking a look at what's currently trending. It's a great way to sort of gauge what kind of songs I could play. I'm not gonna play everything in like a Spotify playlist, of course. I'm just gonna cherry pick the ones that I like, but it helps inform my selections and my decisions when it's game time. And since I'm a top 40 club style DJ, I do need to play what's current, or at least what is reflective of the current state of music. So, that means like a lot of hip hop, a lot of trap, that kind of thing. So, musical research is very important to me, and music streaming helps me so much in that. And that's also one of the reasons why, sometimes like I can just take along my iPad. I've got DJ Pro installed here, and then I could just access my Spotify and I can DJ off of that. I mean, like if it's just like a small house party, like a gathering or something like that, nothing formal. But even when it comes to like DJing at a club or a venue, I do my research before that. I make playlists on Spotify, and then when I get home, that's when I purchase the music or I download them from my record pools. Now, it would be so awesome if I could just access those Spotify playlists or those music streaming playlists straight from my DJ software. And, if I was more of a house and techno DJ, Beatport Link would probably be my first port of call when it comes to that. So, it would just be like a one-step process instead of having it to be like 2 or 3 steps, going on the iTunes store, going on DJ City or BPM Supreme just to download the songs that I've made a playlist of over in Spotify. Now, apart from playlisting and music research, music streaming, as I mentioned already earlier, does help a lot when it comes to requests at weddings. Whenever somebody asks for a song that you're never going to play ever again, you don't want to have to buy that, right? Just drop it from a streaming service if you're able to. So that's how it helps. And essentially, you're able to practice with other styles of music. And this is something that I touched on at the beginning of this live stream. You're able to practice with music that is so different from what you're normally used to playing that it just opens you up to more possibilities. I've always thought of myself as an open format DJ in like the purest sense, just because like there's so many different types of music that I want to play, and it can be expensive, especially back in like the days of vinyl and CDs. Right now it's like a lot cheaper to buy stuff on Beatport, but having access to that via a streaming service means that I can mess around and just practice and experiment with other styles of music. And it has improved my DJing. It has opened my ear to what's different compared to what I normally play. And it's just a great way to develop, I guess, as an artist. And, if you've been DJing for a while now, you know that musical styles change. You know that production techniques change. You know that the taste of your audience changes. It matures as you mature. Different age crowds like different stuff. So if you have access to all of that music and if you do want to go that route and you want to play to all of those different audiences, at some point you will be able to do that thanks to streaming. It may not be here yet. Again, it's not perfect. There's still some bugs, but it's coming. And that's something that we should not fear. It is something that we should consider. At the very least, we should try it. I mean, even like with Beatport Link, you get like a 30-day free trial. Tidal in Serato also has a free trial. If you got the Prime 4, Tidal has a free trial in there as well. You can even stream from SoundCloud, right? So all of these, just try it. Like, if you've been hesitant, that's fine. But just give it a go, at least once. And then you'll be able to form like your judgment based on that experience, right? Instead of just having an opinion and not having tried it just yet. Okay, so before we end, let's take a look at our comments in here. Modingo, I've used DJ Pro for 2 live house sets in the past few months as a proof of concept for streaming. I use my personal hotspot to minimize connectivity issues. Gives you lots of flexibility. Nice one, Modingo. Who else is in here? Kevin Slack, I'm wondering if Apple will bring this with their Apple Music. It will be very interesting if a DJ software is able to tie up with Apple Music, because so far there hasn't been any. And I think, there hasn't been any so far. And I actually don't know why. Maybe it's because the iTunes store is still there and they're still banking on DJs to buy downloads, or at least people to buy downloads from that store. But maybe when that goes away at some point in the future, maybe we'll see Apple Music integration in DJ software. Andy Davies, Predominantly, I am weddings, but in the event of playing a public show, I still use Extendamix, another DJ software, but obviously audio only, good quality, and royalties paid. Awesome, Andy. DJ Dash, who follows the laws? Come on. Yeah, nice one. Ruben Martinez, I use Spotify when I didn't have a song in my library and use DJ2 to have an extra deck on my setup. When you don't have a song in the last minute, I love to use that, and this kind of library is cheap and easy. Yeah, thank you for that tip, Ruben. Mac Joseph, I think clubs will have their own login account for Beatport or Tidal. Now that's gonna be interesting. Maybe they will, but I think what's gonna happen is when you have like these professional club players, SE5000, maybe a future CDJ from Pioneer, who knows, they'll be able, it'll just have like a username and password login prompt. And then you can log into your own account, regardless of whichever streaming service it is, at some point in the future. And then you'll be able to access all your songs. Now, it's going to be important that the place has adequate Wi-Fi. And I'm really hoping that when 5G does become the new standard, it's just going to make everything so much faster, so much smoother, and so much more possible. Because yes, you can use it right now when you're tethered to your phone via 3G or 4G/LTE. But with something like 5G, it's just exponentially faster, exponentially better than what we currently have. And that's a little bit further down, maybe at some point next year, the year after next. But that is coming. And that is also going to change the way streaming works for DJing. So thanks for that. Jonas, I'm waiting for the time when all streaming services will be available as an app, which can be installed onto the controller. Well, that means that the controllers themselves will have to be computers as well. They're going to have built-in computers. Wouldn't that be nice? You wouldn't have to take along your laptop. Admittedly, I love taking along my laptop just because it's so much quicker to search for songs here. I've got a full-size keyboard, got a big screen. My eyes are bad. Obviously, like these glasses are super thick. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe at some point, like more controllers will have computers on board and you'll be able to log in. Wouldn't that be nice? Or maybe you can just plug in your phone and then your phone suddenly becomes the quote-unquote computer for the controller. Maybe it's something like, the DDJ 200, right? I know Phil was doing like let me pull up like a video here. Phil did a review of this, like the DJ 200. It works with your iPad running DJ Pro, and then you can stream from Spotify. Maybe in the future we'll have something where you'll be able to dock your smartphone, whatever it is, or your tablet, and then all the processing happens on there, right? But yeah, a phone and a tablet kind of do that already for you anyway. So there. But yeah, really interesting developments as far as portable DJing, smartphone DJing do. Chris White here with a question. What is your definition of a DJ? What DJ does not want to own their own content or their own music? That's a really good question, dude. And, I've been wrestling with that as well because, yes, I do love streaming. And, yeah, basically, you really are just renting music, right? You don't own any of it. And when Spotify goes belly up, knock on wood, goes belly up or whatever, and then you lose all your music, all your playlists, what happens? You're left with nothing. And, yeah, I don't think owning music is ever going to go away. We love having stuff. We're people. Our stuff kind of defines who we are. And I actually want to prove that point here. Like, here's like a bag of records that I used for my last gig. Like, once in a while, I'll do like a hybrid vinyl and like a digital DJ set. So, if the place has turntables, like, I'll drop like, I don't know, like my 90s bangers over here, R&B and, all my guilty pleasures from way back when. And I love having records. I love having them around. I love listening to records. It's different. I own the music. It's cool. But at the same time, like, when I'm in my car, I can't play a record. I don't even have a CD player in my car anymore. So that's when I use Spotify. Or, if I'm doing like, as I mentioned, like a beach gig, an impromptu one, and I don't have my music or my laptop with me, I can spin from Spotify, right? So yeah, again, it's just an option. I don't owning music. It's cool. It's awesome. I guess like if you love music, it's going to manifest in some way, and owning it is one of those manifestations. And yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna go away, Chris. To be honest. Who on earth would want to rent music, according to Chris? Yeah. I think again, owning and renting. If I could own the music, I would own it. Just because I love having it around. As a file, yeah. Sometimes if I buy like a high resolution wave from like Bandcamp or FLAC from Beatport, but yeah, it's not a necessity in my opinion. Okay. Delmar Brown, one last comment here. The problem that exists when streaming is audio setup not having enough RAM on either computer or laptop. Okay, we're getting a little bit technical here, guys. Two laptop setup is important to separate on one laptop via MIDI through mixer and separate sound card for the other laptop. Yeah. I don't think that modern day laptops really do have a problem when it comes to streaming audio. I think it is more of the internet connection. If you're trying to stream from like your phone and like signal's bad or like if the Wi-Fi is bad, but you know if it's just if you're saving the songs like an offline locker like Beatport Link has, that eliminates the problem essentially. And a modern laptop again can handle that. It's got enough juice in it in order to do that. Even like your smartphone has enough juice to do that. Okay, so let me go have a look here. What else do we have? Yeah, so basically, if you guys want to have like a real world look at how Beatport Link performed with Recordbox DJ and Beta, we did a review of this, I think a little over a month ago. Again, played like a short show. And then, yeah, basically, I didn't stream during the gig itself. What I did was I saved it to the offline locker, and it worked pretty damn well. And I was quite happy with that. So, nice job, Pioneer and Beatport. So, guys, I really appreciate all of the comments that have been coming in. I also appreciate all of the questions and all of like the concerns about streaming, like Chris has. What happens if your broadband goes down? That's another excellent question, dude. And that's why I think having that offline locker capability is the game changer that music streaming and DJ software has been waiting for, because you don't have the offline locker in DJ with Spotify. And yeah, so having that in record box DJ, it just made it more probable that you'll be able to play those songs, as opposed to having to pray to the gods of Wi-Fi and LTE that your connection is going to be steady. So that's a valid concern, Chris. Thank you for that one. All right, a couple more here. I love it. Final one here. Delmar Brown, become a producer of your own and then release the tracks. Yeah. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could just make music on your laptop, release it on Spotify, release it on Beatport, release it on SoundCloud, and then just tell people, all right, my song's out. I uploaded it 10 seconds ago. Why don't you stream it at your gig tonight? To me, that is like the pinnacle of music streaming and DJ software. Being able to do something like that instantaneously, it's just so next level. And I don't know if it's gonna get to that point, but I hope that at some point it does become something similar to that. Because think about it, you could improvise a set using songs that have just been released by producers, literally on the second that it was released. So that's gonna be awesome. So guys, let me leave you with this. I just think that just try it. You're not gonna lose anything by trying streaming. And then, let me know in the comments later on. People are gonna be watching this replay. You're gonna have a nice conversation going. Let me know what your experience was with it. So far, I've had a positive experience with music streaming, but I do agree with Chris White over on YouTube when he says that owning music is different compared to renting. I still love owning music. I don't think that's ever gonna go away. I love owning books. I love owning records. I still have the CDs I used when I started DJing. I've got them in like a Case Logic binder. Who remembers those, right? I've got baseball trading cards. I got basketball trading cards from when I was a kid. I guess I'm a collector. And there will always be collectors. I don't think that's ever gonna go away. But maybe for the next generation of DJs, and I'm talking about kids right now who are just getting to DJing, they're like, like 9, 10 years old, 15, 16. I don't think they buy music anymore, to be honest. And they listen to everything on a streaming service, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or SoundCloud. And to them, what does it mean to own music? What does it mean to own stuff? Especially when you've got services right now like Uber. You don't need to own a car. You got Lyft. You don't need to own a car. Airbnb. Maybe at some point you don't even need to own a home just because you can live long term in like these shared spaces. I don't know. The future is weird. The internet is just opening up all these new advances. But yeah, my last comment here, guys, is to just go ahead and try it, and then let me know in the comments how it went for you. I really, really would like to know. It would be nice if like everyone in like Facebook page and Global DJ Network can just give their shared experiences on streaming, and then we can come up with a consensus on whether or not it's something that we're gonna be doing in the future or something that we're interested in. So that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you for joining me on this week's Tuesday Tips Live. I will see you again next week because Phil is still on holiday. And if you guys wanna talk about something next week, if you have ideas for topics, do go ahead and let me know in the comments and we will consider them. So thank you once again. My name is Joey. I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.